Hello and welcome to another video. This is the fourth episode of the story in which the Kyuubi is sealed into Naruto's two younger sisters, driving a wedge between his family and himself for unknown reasons. See now as Naruto establishes himself by following his own path. This story is from Zodiac Aries. Make sure to support him, her. Like and subscribe to show your backing. Let's start this show. I don't see anything wrong with you, the doctor told Naruto as he sat in the infirmary. You must be just imagining things. You sure? My arms and legs feel odd, Naruto answered. Although, it's just a dull pain now. Maybe it's from utilizing some jutsus too much. I mean, you may strain yourself when using all of your chakra. Naruto thought about it before nodding slowly. That makes sense, I guess. Thanks, Doc. Naruto stood up from the examination chair and left the room, but not before stopping in front of Irua's bed. Looking over at the pouch that the ninja had on him, the blonde decided it was time to take what was his as their deal. Making a shadow clone, he ordered it to get the Uzumaki scroll from the pouch. The clone reached and found there was no trap. The clone looked through the scroll and reached the end and found no traps. The clone dispelled itself, and when Naruto got the information, he was surprised that the IWA ninja would have the real scroll on him. What an idiot. Turning around, Naruto left the room and calmly walked back towards the waiting room where the rest of the semi-finalists were at. Placing the scroll in his bag, he walked down the hall. As he reached one, he saw a little girl who looked no older than 5 years old. She was dressed in a red kimono and had black hair along with pink eyes. He walked up to the little girl and knelt down and smiled at her. Hey there, are you lost? The girl tilted her head to the side before speaking. You're the one who beat Darui, the girl said in an angry voice. Before Naruto could even formulate a response, the girl kicked him in the shin. The blonde screamed out in pain while the girl huffed. Take that, you big meanie. Ow! Naruto shouted as he grabbed his left leg. In the next second the little girl kicked his other shin, causing him to fall on his butt. Ow! Stop kicking me. I'm taking revenge for Darui. The girl went to go for a third kick but was stopped when a pair of hands grabbed her and lifted her up into the air. Naruto looked up to see his savior. It was a man with a red IWA bandana on his head. It covered most of his hair, but he could see bits and pieces of brown hair, with a growing beard. He had a red sleeveless shirt and black pants. His black eyes bore into those of the little girl. Hey, let me go. Kitsuchi, I leave you alone for a minute and you go off trying to beat up one of the contestants, the man sighed. He then looked at Naruto before bowing his head. Sorry about that, kid. My daughter got mad when she found out her friend got beat by some punk from Konoha. Name is Kitsuchi, by the way. It's fine, I guess, Naruto replied. Well, I'll be taking my daughter back now. Now say sorry to the boy. No. I won't apologize to him. Kitsuchi whined. He hurt Darui, so he'll have to pay. Kitsuchi sighed and shook his head. He put the girl over his shoulder to make sure she couldn't escape from him. As she struggled against her father, Kitsuchi glared at Naruto. You watch out, you blonde meanie. When I become a ninja I'll beat you up. I swear it. Naruto was still confused as he stared at the odd family from IWA. After that he shook his head and turned to go meet up with Itachi. As he arrived in the participant waiting room, Naruto saw that Itachi was standing at one side of the room with the people from Kyuubi on the other. Walking over to his teammate, he leaned against the wall alongside him. So what do you think of our opponents? The blonde asked his partner. Don't know much about them save for what we already know, Itachi replied. Darui barely showed any skills, save for that odd Kekkai Genkai he has. Then there is Yugito, who is, as you said, Jinchuriki. How are you going to handle her? I'm going to wing it. When Naruto heard that, he scoffed. Itachi turned to his friend with a raised brow. What was that noise for? You winging it? Naruto said with mock shock. The master of plans going to wing things? You have a plan, and I know it. For one, I really don't have a plan. I am going to wing it. Just don't do anything stupid then. When have I done anything stupid? Naruto rolled his eyes, but a smile appeared on his face nonetheless. Team Darui, are you still angry? Darui asked Yugito. The Jinchuriki was glaring at Naruto's group as they were speaking and looking at them at the same time. I'm just peachy, Yugito ground out. You're rather angry, and we're not meant to kill anyone. We're supposed to create relationships between other villages. If you kill the Uchiha, we may start a war. So try to hold back. Do you know how many people knew that I was a Jinchuriki? When Darui didn't say anything, she continued. Other than you, C and our sensei. Other than that it was only Killer B and the Raikage, and of course the villagers who hate me. But now 3 Konoha ninjas, if not more, know it. It was supposed to be a secret to other villages that I was a Jinchuriki. I'm not sure how to handle it other than killing them. It was the only option. Just, don't do anything stupid, he told her. You're a teammate and dare I say it a friend. I don't want you getting hurt or anything of the sort, or punished for the matter. Yugito blinked at the younger boy who was still staring at Naruto's team. I'll try. Thanks. Kagebox, are you going to stay for the semi-finals and finals of these matches, Tsuchikage-sama? A asked as he looked at his fellow Kage. Minato also turned to look at the old man. I am going to stay, Anoki replied calmly. This surprised the 2 other Kages. Oh? Why do you say that, Tsuchikage-sama? Minato asked. I want to see what happens after this. He looked at the 2 other Kages with a smile. I want to see the battles and see what your kids have in store. Namely if it's a threat to my own village. The old man's eyes then turned towards the 2 Konoha ninjas. Isn't it about time for the battles to begin? Battlefield, Itachi was calmly looking at Yugito as she glared at him. Dodai was looking at both of them. Are you both ready? The proctor asked. Hi, Yugito answered, while Itachi only nodded. Then begin. As the fight started, Itachi pointed a finger at Yugito with his Sharingan spinning furiously. After that the Jinchuriki watched as the boy disappeared into a flock of crows. Genjutsus won't work on me. A burst of chakra came forth from her and the flocks of crows disappeared. After that, she looked around and saw her opponent was already running towards the lake. The brown-haired girl ran after him. As she got closer, Itachi turned around for a second and sent a volley of kunais at her. As they neared her, Yugito heard the sound of burning and had to lunge to the side, making the blades miss their mark. When nothing happened after that, she looked at the kunais and frowned. They were only duds. Making an irritated noise, she turned and ran after Itachi once again. As she got closer to him, she knew that he'd hit the water before she'd reach him. So hoping to at least hinder him, she threw out her hand and a wave of blue fire shot out. Itachi did a hard left after he felt the heat approaching him and casually glanced at the explosion of the ground where he was previously. Not giving it a second thought, he kept on towards the water. As he approached the water, he was already doing hand seals. As he felt another wave of fire coming towards him, Itachi shouted. Suetun, Mizurappa, water release, water trumpet. Itachi took a deep breath and shot water out of his mouth, through his hand. It collided with the wave of blue fire, causing a column of steam. He then landed on the water as he did and was already going through more hand seals. Suetun, Suijin Hiki, water release, water encampment wall. Just as the large wall of water shot up, a large ball of blue fire hit it. From where Yugito was standing, she was frowning. When the water wall came down, Itachi was nowhere to be seen. That made her frown. "Oh, I am not falling for the same trick again," she shouted. She jumped back away from the pond as far as she can, not wanting another sneak attack from underneath the water. As she got far away, she found a bunch of shuriken coming from the forest. "The hell?" she cried out. She turned and saw Itachi throwing shuriken at her. She looked towards the water and then back towards the other Itachi. "Damn, he knows how to make solid clones," she whispered to herself. Nezumi Kedama, mouse hairball. Taking a deep breath, she spat out several mice-shaped balls of fire and they raced towards the one in the forest. The Itachi from the forest stared at the flames before running up the wall. "Which one is real?" The mice kept chasing the one on land, and Yugito was sure that the other one was still in the water. "Come out and show yourself, Konoha dog." A form started to emerge from the water after that exclamation. Slowly a mass of water started to tower high above the lake and took the form of a large dragon. It gave out a roar when it reached its peak. Yugito and others stared at the thing in shock. "How can a kid have that technique?" she muttered to herself. She was about to run away, but felt a pair of hands grab her feet. Looking down, she saw that there was a pair coming out from beneath the ground. She tried to struggle out of it, but it pulled her knee-deep into the dirt. She then heard something from underneath the water. "Suetun, Suryuden no Jutsu, water release, water dragon bullet technique." She heard Itachi's voice shout out from underneath the water. She tried moving out to claw herself out of the dirt, before slapping herself on the forehead. "I could use Kawarimi," she thought. Before she could move to do the hand seals though, she felt a pair of hands grab her shoulders. She saw the other Itachi doing a handstand on her shoulders. As the 7-year-old landed on the ground, she felt that she was being lodged out of being encased by the earth, probably using up all the chakra in the clone. She was wondering why the clone was freeing her, before she remembered what was chasing him. As the clone threw her into the air, he held her arm, and the flaming hair projectiles closed in on her, while on the other side the large water dragon. There was a large explosion of steam when the two techniques hit, blocking out the view of the area. Slowly from the water of the pond, Itachi's face comes out, but stays mostly submerged. When he heard a thump, Itachi looked to see a body fall onto the floor, and waited. Then a deafening roar came out from where Yugito's body fell. Blue flames burst from the steam and dispelled it. Yugito was standing, looking more feral than she ever has been. Her eyes turned from black to yellow and slitted. Her fingernails had extended into the claws they were when she went up against Fu. Some blue flames were dancing around her body. She then ran forward, faster than last time. Itachi barely had time to fully submerge himself when she clawed the water. When she did, the water itself was blasted apart. This sent Itachi into the air due to the sheer force of the attack. He covered his face and chest with his arms, and felt searing pain coming from them. As he landed on the ground, he noted that there were long claw-like streaks of blood coming from his arms. Itachi then looked up to see Yugito glaring at him. It seems as if Yugito-san is mad now. Her bijou is acting up and it is making her fight more ferociously. Itachi spared a glance at the Kage box, trying to see if they would do anything about it, and looked at Dodai as well, but they made no move to stop the fight. This made him frown. He blinked again, and in that moment, Yugito was already heading towards him again. He dodged the attack, not wanting to get hit again. He wasn't surprised to see more blue flames going after him when he dodged. This made things a bit harder for him. The more she attacked, the more blue flames shot out from her hands. She got much closer to him after one sweep of her hands, and tried to claw at him once more, but he dodged again. He lashed out with a kick to her abdomen, which barely did any damage. Almost out of chakra from those Suetun jutsus, and being cornered by my opponent. I have no choice but to use the move I created. I was hoping to save it for the match against Naruto, but I guess I have no choice but to use it now, Itachi thought to himself. Judging that the distance between him and Yugito was not far enough for him to set up the technique he had, and estimating her speed, Itachi reached into his pouch and threw a smoke bomb onto the ground. Although that didn't deter Yugito at all, as she just ran through the smoke, roaring all the while. When she got inside the smoke screen, she couldn't seem to find Itachi. "I'm over here," Itachi stated from outside the smoke. Yugito turned around and saw him in a taijutsu stance, waiting for her. The girl roared in fury and dashed towards him. As she closed the distance, she attacked with her right claw. Itachi raised up right arm to block and twisted his body at the same time. He then thrusted his left arm outward, his left palm smashing against the girl's chest. Aoi Erasure, Blue Storm. As the attack hit her, the back of her clothes burst and what seemed like a wave of wind passed through her. Yugito then fell to the ground coughing up blood. Had a large bruise where Itachi had hit her and shortly fell to unconsciousness. After putting his arms down, Itachi clutched his left arm with his right. It was trembling profusely and showed several more cuts appearing on it. Damn, still can't use it correctly and to its true potential. Makes sense though, since I only had a month's worth of futon training. The winner of the match is Itachi Uchiha. Medical ninjas, please take away the injured contestants. Dodai exclaimed. He looked to Itachi asking if he wants a stretcher. The boy looked himself over. Other than the self-inflicted injuries, he had long gashes on his arms and a few burns from the times he couldn't really escape Yugito's attacks. Itachi then nodded asking for his own stretcher. The team came over and put the unconscious Yugito on one stretcher and Itachi on another. "Will the next participants please come down?" Dodai asked, and the injured were completely off the field. With Naruto and Darui, both boys looked at each other before taking their own routes towards the battlefield. Naruto jumping over the railing and Darui walking out the hallway. "Kagebox, why didn't you have the proctor stop the fight?" Minato asked. The fact that your Jinchuriki was going a bit berserk was a clear danger to those around. "I wanted to see how the young Uchiha would handle that situation," I replied. I expected him to give up after seeing that the girl was going mad with power, but I was surprised to see that he didn't even flinch at kept on the attack. "Most people would have run from that," Anoki commented. "They would have ran away, hoping that they would survive the attack. But the young boy stayed. What does that say about him? That he is foolish and hard-headed?" A suggested. "No. Maybe a little, but it showed that he was adaptable to the situation. It also showed that he was able to think ahead. Do you think that in her anger, that Yugito girl would have stopped after the match was called? I recall that the Uzumaki boy had to interfere in the last match to stop her. It saved his teammate time and trouble by knocking her out himself." Anoki stroked his beard. "I think it was stupid," I replied. Although inside I was agreeing, if it were him he'd fight something head-on rather than ran away. "What are your thoughts on this, Hokage-sama?" Minato was too busy looking at Naruto as he waited for his opponent, but managed to snap out of it in a few seconds. "No comment," Minato replied. "I'm not truly sure how to take that, but I'll give him credit for being able to take the attacks of a demonic chakra-enhanced girl. Also knocking her out in one hit, as well as trying that the entire time during the match." He then smiled at the two. "Let us watch the last of the semi-finals, shall we?" Battlefield, Dodai sighed as he looked at the two boys standing in front of him. One looked rather bored and didn't want to be there at the moment, and the other had an excited look on his face. Two complete opposites from what he could tell right off the bat. "You two ready?" Dodai asked. Both Darui and Naruto nodded in response. "Then begin." The proctor jumped away and was surprised that the two boys were just standing there looking at each other. After 5 minutes of doing nothing, which caused all the people to get irritated, some people in the crowd began to boo them. "So, I take it you don't want to be here at the moment?" Naruto asked calmly, completely ignoring the people around him. I don't mind being here. I want to be a chunin after all. I just want this day to end already. I want to take a nap, Darui sighed. I agree, I just want to take a nap too. So why don't you just surrender, both boys said at the same time. This caused the two of them to stop talking. Naruto was smirking, while Darui had a raised eyebrow. That was odd, the darker-skinned boy replied. Yeah, it was. So how about we settle this in a rather simple way then? How so? Jankenpon, rock paper scissors, this made Darui raise an eyebrow at Naruto. You're serious? Yeah. We play rounds of that, each winner of the round gets to slug the opponent across the face. Darui put on a thoughtful expression before looking at Naruto again. It sounds rather dull, but I'll only agree to it if we don't use chakra and nothing below the belt. Naruto frowned, but nodded. Sure. Naruto and Darui met up in the middle of the battlefield. They both made fists and nodded their heads. Jankenpon, both boys shouted. They then splayed their choices to each other. Darui had paper and Naruto had rock. Darui reared his right arm back and punched Naruto across his cheek. Naruto then stared at him while rubbing the part that was hit. Wow, you pack a punch, Naruto complimented him. This may turn out to be fun after all. Ready for round 2? Naruto nodded. Jankenpon. This time Darui had rock and Naruto had paper. Naruto smiled and smashed his fist into Darui's face. The Kyuubi ninja took an involuntary step back, while clutching his jaw. Okay, that hurt, Darui mumbled. Let's keep going. With Tsunade, is that kid serious? Tsunade deadpanned. She face-palmed after 10 minutes of those two just trading punches after small matches of Janken. It was safe to say that most of the people watching were rather displeased at the two boys' choice of battle. I think he is, Jiraiya yawned. He may care for the boy, but even he thought this was boring. Well, you have to give credit to that Darui kid though, Tsunade muttered. Being able the same age as Naruto and taking his hits like that. I've only seen Itachi take such a beating. Looking to her side, she saw that some people were starting to fall asleep due to how boring the fight was. Even Kushina was looking like she was about to doze off. Tsunade then turned back to the fight on the battlefield, hoping that it would get better soon. Battlefield, Jankenpon, the two boys threw out their hands again. Naruto had scissors and Darui had papers. Naruto smiled. They had been going for about 10 minutes, trading blows after these short little games. Naruto reared his arm back and smirked. When he threw his arm forward, he smashed it against Darui's face. When he did that, Darui was sent flying backwards, causing him to bounce along the ground once. Hey buddy, you alright? Naruto asked, looking at Darui. The boy shakily got up and glared at Naruto. I thought you agreed to no chakra, Darui stated. I did, Naruto replied. But Baraku Sheru doesn't use an ounce of chakra at all. Darui's eyes widened at that. You mean to tell me that those stances you do don't use chakra? Not once bit. Darui sighed and looked at the sky before looking at Naruto again. Deal's off. No more no chakra business. Let's do this how it's really meant to be. It won't be as dull and I'll stand a better chance at beating you that way. Naruto opened his mouth to reply but was cut off when Darui shouted. Rantun, Raiza Sakusu. A barrage of streaming lightning shot towards Naruto. Ducking left, Naruto dodged the attack then turned around to block it when it came back towards him. The force of the hit had him being lifted upward but not strong enough to pushing far. The blonde turned around, drawing and caught Darui's fist. He raised his other arm to block the other punch. Pulling his head back, Naruto head-butted Darui causing him to stagger backwards. This is what happens if I apply chakra to the stances. Buraku Sheru. The blonde reared back his arm and punched. A small tornado burst forth from his fist and slammed into Darui. Bamirian Wingu. The ran towards his opponent, slammed his foot into the ground and swiped his foot across a small space trying to trip up Darui. The boy jumped back, but was surprised to find something coming out of the ground. A small cyclone erupted from it and hitting him back towards Naruto. Hawato Dansu. Naruto let loose a flurry of punches and kicks, each was seemingly cutting into Darui with each hit. After landing the combo, Naruto stretched his arms out then thrust both palms forward. Baro Sutomu. This time the technique wasn't like all the previous times it was used. No, Darui knew something was different about this move. The attack Naruto did was much more powerful. Baro Sutomu. Naruto shouted. Darui rushed through the hand seals he needed if he wanted to not get hit. Kawarimi no Jutsu. The Kyuubi ninja replaced with himself with a log a few meters away. He looked at where Naruto had attacked and saw the damage. From his palms a violent wind had been shot out. The ground in front of the blonde was eviscerated by the attack and the log that had replaced Darui was shattered into splinters. Naruto brought his arms to his sides, took a deep breath and smiled at Darui, who was still looking at him with wide eyes. That was your techniques with chakra? Futon chakra to be specific. Darui stood up and wavered a bit, but was already doing hand seals. Reaching behind him, the Kyuubi ninja threw a kunai at Naruto. The blonde tilted his head to the side to easily dodge the attack. He was surprised to see Darui switch himself with the flying kunai and appear behind Naruto. He caught his own kunai that flew past Naruto's head and tried to slash at the blonde shinobi. Naruto ducked and punched behind him. Darui caught it and shouted. Raitun, Jibashi. Electricity ran through Darui's hands and into Naruto's body. He was surprised when Naruto was laughing and not being shocked. Surprised, ain't ya? Naruto smirked. He then head-butted Darui again, causing the boy to let go. Why were you not shocked? The Kyuubi ninja demanded. Who knows? Naruto replied. Darui had to shake his head to gain his bearings. Although I'm happy that you actually managed to hurt me. Not a lot of people our age could do that. Darui blinked and looked at Naruto. The hand that had electricity running through it, and it was spasming just a bit. But let's end this, shall we? How do you plan on doing that? Naruto smirked and disappeared in a yellow blur, appearing right in front of Darui. He was crouched down and did an uppercut. It may have been faint and lasted only a moment, but the moment Naruto did the attack, Darui saw that the boy's arm was covered in electricity. Darui felt some bones crack when Naruto's fist impacted with his chest. He was sent flying into the air, however he was ignoring the pain right now. He wanted to hit Naruto at least. He gathered chakra after doing the ram seal and waited. His patience was rewarded when the blonde jumped upward. When Naruto was only a few meters away, Darui shouted, Raitun, Kurapantsa, lightning release, Black Panther. The black lightning was shot out of his hands and took the shape of a panther. Naruto's eyes widened as the attack hit him. He was slammed into the ground by the attack. The lightning dispersed after a few minutes and Darui landed, hoping that the attack was enough to knock out and hopefully not kill. The crowd were now at the edge of their seats, seeing as the boys had taken the battle to another level. Now they were all worried about the fate of the blonde Konoha ninja. Damn, that took out so much chakra. I just hope that guy is alright. Wow, you're worried. Darui's eyes widened, the lightning cleared along with the dust. Standing there was Naruto. His clothes were partially singed, there were a few burns on his body as well, and black lightning was dancing around him. The lightning was barely noticeable, but since Darui was close by he could see it. He looked at Dodai, who had his jaw dropped. The lightning from around the blonde then disappeared and Naruto smiled and cracked his neck. How do you know that? Darui whispered. Who knows? Do you want to continue? Naruto asked, looking at the tired shinobi in front of him. Darui looked at Naruto then shook his head. No, I surrender. I'm out of chakra. He turned to Dodai. Hey, call the match. I surrender this battle. The older Kyuubi ninja nodded his head. The winner of the match is Naruto Uzumaki. Medics, take the injured off the battlefield please, Dodai shouted. Naruto released the sigh he was holding in as he fell to the floor. Thank goodness, Naruto muttered. I'm almost out of chakra too. Darui dropped his jaw at Naruto, before laughing. Kami, even with blasting that last move of yours with a heavily underpowered Borusutomu and using that technique you saw, that hurt like hell. Hey, can I go to the infirmary too? The medics took both Naruto and Darui out of the battlefield, leaving the Darui on his own. Suddenly, another Kyuubi ninja appeared and whispered something into his ear. Dodai listened carefully and nodded his head. By Raikage's request, we are going to hold off the finals until tomorrow. This will give our finalists a chance to rest and recuperate. Please the arena for now, and return tomorrow. We will hold your seats for you so you do not need to buy tickets again. Thank you for coming to most of our Chunin exams and please return for the conclusion tomorrow. Dodai nodded and he shined out of the era. Slowly the arena was emptied. The Kages had left to go discuss what had occurred in the office of the Raikage. Infirmary, you're a dumbass sometimes Naruto, Itachi shook his head. He was sitting on the bed next to Naruto's. The blonde was chowing down on some ramen. That he managed to unseal with a very small amount of chakra that he recovered. He was slurping it down with abandon. Across from them were the three members of Team Darui. Yugito was still unconscious, C was trying to hold in his lunch at watching Naruto massacre the bowl of ramen, and Darui was looking on with indifference. Naruto looked at his partner and shrugged. How can you stand him eating like that? C gagged. You get desensitized to it after knowing him a few weeks, Itachi replied. Darui lied down and shook his head. You two guys are rather interesting to watch. One is calm, stoic and cool while the other was energetic, hyperactive and charismatic. Having you two around must make life less dull, huh? You could say that. When Naruto finished eating he threw his bowl into the trash can. Hey, no hard feeling between us, right? The blonde asked the other team. We hold nothing against you, C replied with a smile. Not sure about Yugito over there though. You finding out her secret made her really mad. The Kyuubi blonde took a deep breath before speaking again, this time his tone was confused. Hey, Yugito is right. You do smell like a cat. Darui and Itachi looked at Naruto, while the boy frowned and sniffed himself. I swear I took a bath today. I don't see how you guys keep saying I smell like a freaking cat. Unless, lion spit somehow manages to stay on you for a long time. The boys started talking about nothing in particular to fill in the silence of the room. To be honest, they didn't find anything wrong with each other and were hitting it off. Their conversation however came to a halt when they heard voices coming from the hall. I'll knock your teeth in if you don't let me see that boy, the voice of Tsunade came through from the other side. Naruto face palmed and Itachi sniggered, Kami, Bachan can be so embarrassing sometimes. The doors bust open and two groups entered. One was Naruto's supporters and the other was Itachi's. Tsunade, Jiraiya, Yugao and Shizun stood by Naruto's bed, meanwhile, Fugaku, Mikoto and Shisui holding Sasuke were next to Itachi. Darui and C watched the interactions with interest. With Naruto, WOW. Naruto shouted, the moment Tsunade came in she smacked him across the back of the head. What was that for? You scared us, you idiot. Tsunade shouted. Do you know how much you got us worried after that black lightning thing hit you? I do now. I have a lump on the top of my head, saying how much you're mad at me. The blonde boy was rubbing the back of his head after the back of that hit. Congratulations Naruto-kun, Shizun smiled at him. The teenager gave the boy a hug. You made it to the finals. She then whispered into his ear. She may not show it but Tsunade-sama is happy that you made it this far. When she pulled away Naruto smiled at her and she blushed. Jiraiya walked up to Naruto and patted him on the back. Those were some great fights Gaki, the old pervert laughed. I would have never thought you could make it this far. Oh thanks for the support, Naruto replied sarcastically. This time the old sage leaned in. Hey, what were those moves you showed back there? I've never seen you do them before, he whispered. I'll tell you when we get home. I'm happy you made it to the finals Naruto, Yugao told the blonde. Turning to his teammate, Naruto scratched the back of his head sheepishly. Heh, thanks Yuga-senpai. The girl smiled sadly back at him. I think you should stop calling me that. In a few short days you may be a higher rank than me. Then I'll be the one calling you senpai. Naruto scratched his head again, before he saw another figure walking up to him. Hey kid, Shursui greeted him. Sup Shursui, Naruto returned the greeting. So what do you think of our fights? You and Itachi are strong, stronger from when I last sparred against the two of you, the Uchiha smirked. I swear you two are growing up so fast. You might make it into ANBU sooner or later if you go at this pace. Heh, maybe we will. Although, I hope you don't mind teaching us more stuff and hanging out Shursui. I mean you're one of the few Uchiha who don't have a stick up there, Naruto, don't say that word, Tsunade interrupted him. I was going to say but. The blonde then turned back to the Uchiha teen. So what are you up to? Have a girlfriend yet? I mean I haven't seen you in a month since you were always busy. That made Shursui balk at the answer. He stuttered. If you're wondering Shizunini is still single. Naruto, several people shouted. What? The blonde asked. Looking around, he saw a laughing Jiraiya and Tsunade, a blushing embarrassed Shizun, a glaring Yugao, still mad at them for embarrassing her in front of Hay-8, and a very confused and flustered Shursui. Hearing some giggling, he saw Mikoto laughing at the scene, Fugaku looking at them with a raised eyebrow and Itachi shaking his head. I don't like Shizunsen in that way. She is a good comrade nothing more. I agree, Shizun nodded her head furiously. Besides I like someone else. She whispered, that barely anyone caught it. Whatever you guys say. Naruto was then surprised to see the Uchiha contingent walk over to him. Yugao also took this time to greet and congratulate Itachi. Mikoto-sama, Fugaku-sama, it is nice to meet you, Naruto bowed his head. Good job today Naruto-kun. You make me proud to be your sensei, Mikoto complimented him. The blonde smiled and nodded his head in thanks. He then looked at Fugaku who was looking back at him with a calculating look. Suddenly he bowed down to Naruto to greet him. I finally remember you. I was wondering why you seemed so familiar to me then it hit me. During the battles I had not recognized you at all. It's good to see you again Naruto. It was hard to recognize you after you changed your name. Naruto nodded his head. Sorry about that. Fugaku waved his hand. Do not fret Naruto. I want to thank you for being my son's teammate and rival. He needs a strong person to push him along, and you're a good person to do it. He then turned to Mikoto and nodded out the door. We are going to return to our hotel room now. It is good to see you again Naruto. Itachi, rest up, your fight tomorrow against this boy will be a hard one, if he's anything like his father. Almost everyone in the room tensed at that. The Uchiha patron nodded to him and left the room, with Mikoto smiling at them and waving her hand. Shursui stayed a bit longer shaking his head. Man, he gave you 2 compliments today. I can't believe it. Him giving a non-Uchiha a compliment twice in the same day, Shursui said a bit dazed. He turned to his 2 surrogate brothers on their beds. Well, I have to go. Rest up guys, and be prepared for a good fight tomorrow. After that, he too left. Well, we got to go too. We're going to get dinner, Jiraiya stated. See you around kid. After that they turned to leave but Tsunade stopped at the door. Oh, and I'm sorry Kushina couldn't greet you Naruto. Minato called her to talk about something, Tsunade informed the blonde boy. Naruto nodded his head in acceptance and sighed. When the group left, things were quiet for a bit before someone cleared their throat. Looking up, Naruto saw that C and Darui were looking back at them. You have a weird family, Darui stated. Who? Me or him? Naruto pointed at himself then Itachi. You do, C replied. How do you know 2 out of the 3 Sannin? Oh, they take care of me. Kami, that must explain why you're so strong. Being trained by 2 of the Sannin. You must feel special huh? Ha. Naruto laughed. Ero Sensei barely teaches me anything and Bachan is busy teaching Shizun medical stuff than she has time to teach me. My power comes from me training on my own or with Itachi over there. From that moment on, the boys kept talking well into the night, even when the hospital dinner was served to them. Although at one point, Naruto had to chain Yugito again after she woke up. She tried to attack both of them, and Naruto had recovered enough chakra to produce his sealing chains. So that night they stayed up just talking and getting to know each other better. Although, Yugito wouldn't speak and just glare at the 2 boys, especially Naruto who had chained her to the bed. When it was time to sleep, Naruto and Itachi laid on their beds, thinking about the next day to come. The day where they would prove which one of them was better in front of the world. What are you doing up and about so early in the morning Naruto? Itachi asked as he joined the blonde in the stadium seats high above the battlefield. It was 6 in the morning, and the sun hadn't even broken free of the clouds yet. The blonde was just sitting back staring out at the field with a jovial smile on his face. He looked at his partner and friend in almost all things. What I'm doing out is nothing really. I just wanted to catch some fresh air, the blonde responded with a small smile on his face. The 2 sat in silence for a couple of moments before Naruto spoke again. Can't you believe it Itachi? Later on today, we'll be out there facing each other in battle, in front of 3 nations. Makes you a little excited huh? Itachi nodded and had a smile on his face too. Yeah, proving our worth might be fun. The 2 kept quiet, odd for Naruto, enjoying their time. No holding back? No holding back. Naruto stood up and stretched his arms. Let's go get some breakfast and then prepare yeah. Hi. Itachi stood up too. They then both looked at each other and had to blink. Something was off when they looked at their best friend. When Naruto was looking at Itachi he saw an older version of him. He was donning a high-collar cloak that was black and had red clouds on it. His face was stoic as ever and he had a fully mature Sharingan active but what surprised him most was his forehead protector. It had a cut through the village symbol. When Itachi looked at Naruto he saw something similar. This Naruto was older and his hair was a bit longer too, but there was a few red streaks in his hair. He was wearing a burnt orange shirt under a long white leather coat and black pants. In his hand was a white curved blade, looking a lot like a feather. On the bicep of his left arm was a Konoha forehead protector, while on his head was another forehead protector, one that had a spiral inside a circle, the symbol for the destroyed village of Uzumaki. This one still had cocky smirk. Both boys blinked at the same time. When they looked at each other again, they saw their usual selves. When they went to breakfast, neither of them spoke of the odd premonition they both had at the same time. After breakfast, the two separated to prepare themselves for their match. Stadium hours later, the stadium was once again filled with people. Many of them were disappointed that the Kyuubi ninjas were out of the running since they were the ones that holding the exams, but nonetheless they were here to watch what would happen. Two boys, 7 years old and a lot younger than most of the competitors no less, were in the finals. Both from the same village, both from the same team and both showing amount of strength most wouldn't be able to in their young age. It was safe to say that many people were surprised about the result, but were anticipating the battle that would happen in the next few minutes. Yugao, who was sitting next to Naruto's group once again felt a bit conflicted. She really didn't know who to root for in this match. Two of her friends would be fighting each other and that made her confused. Just cheer for both of them, a voice whispered into her ear. Turning to the side, she finally noticed that she was sitting next to Kushina Namikaze. How did you know I was having a hard time choosing who to root for, Namikaze-sama? Yugao asked. It was pretty easy to guess. Both of your friends are up there, wanting to fight, and it makes you have to decide who you want to cheer for. Why not both? They are your friends, right? Win or lose, that won't change anything. Yugao thought about it, before enthusiastically nodding her head. Thank you, Namikaze-sama, Yugao said with a smile. Kushina smiled back before laughing a bit. Please stop with the Namikaze-sama bit, it gets a bit tiring. You can call me Kushina if you want. Yugao blushed in embarrassment before nodding her head again. Okay, Kushina-sama. With the Uchihas, I wonder how this match will go? Mikoto mumbled to herself. She had Sasuke in her lap as she thought of this. Her two students, her son and one she considered a son, were about to face off. She hasn't seen them train the entire past month and was unsure of their skills. She knew her boys were strong, but how strong was the question. Itachi will surely win, Fugaku replied as he crossed his arms. He's an Uchiha, but Naruto will give him a run for his money. He is that man's son after all. I'm still a bit shocked you complimented someone that wasn't an Uchiha, Chursuei muttered under his breath. I believe that this match will result in a tie, Fugaku-sama. When the Uchiha patron turned and looked at the ANBU member, he smiled at him, cleared his throat. I've known these two for such a long time and would be able to guess how strong each of them has gotten. The problem with this is that they are each other's antithesis. Itachi is weaker in taijutsu compared to Naruto, and Naruto is weaker in genjutsu. They have their own styles that would put them on even terms with each other. Not only that, they are on the same terms when it comes to ninjutsu. So these two will probably fight to a draw on those conclusions. Are you sure about this? Fugaku asked as he looked at Chursuei. The boy nodded. I've trained both boys to a certain amount, and I know Itachi has been training to meet up to be on par with Naruto at taijutsu. If this is true, Naruto must have done a bit of genjutsu training as well. Chursuei stopped talking and looked at the battlefield, before speaking again. You could say that they are each other's fail-safe if anything goes wrong, and one of them goes rouge. I see. With Team Darui, since the three people in the team were taken out of the finals, they were sitting in the stands just like everyone else. The three of them were anticipating the matches as well. The boys in the team were able to make friends with Itachi and Naruto, while Yugito was still a bit wary of them, namely since they knew she was a Jinchuriki. That was why she was frowning at the moment. You need to lighten up, C said from her side. Why should I? Yugito huffed. Naruto-san and Itachi-san aren't bad people. If you keep that attitude, you'll dull out your sense of trust, Darui sighed. Just be happy they are willing to keep your secret. How do we know we can trust them? Yugito growled. How do we know they are trustworthy enough? We slept in the same room as them when we were all injured. They didn't do anything to us, well except you, since you were still pretty mad at them. In that moment those two would have been able to kill us if they wanted to, but they didn't. I say it is safe to trust them. Yugito mumbled something under her breath after Darui's speech, but only crossed her arms in defiance to what he said. Darui sighed at the stubbornness his teammate was showing at trusting the two boys, especially since they were kind people and really didn't treat her any different than they did anyone else after they found out. After releasing another sigh, his mind slowly went back to the conversation he had with Naruto the night before, but stopped shortly when the crowd started to quiet down. With Deidara, I thought you would have went home after you lost Deidara, Kitsuchi stated as he and Kuratsuchi sat down next to the blonde bomber. HN? Well, I'm here to see just how strong my previous opponent is. If he was strong enough to be me and go after Iru right after that, he must be really strong. HN, Deidara replied. He's not strong at all. I kicked him in the shin and he fell to the floor. Kuratsuchi bragged to her Nizan. Deidara smirked and patted her head. That's good to hear, but I think the reason that happened was you got the drop on him. Plus he didn't see you as a threat. The bomber then turned back to the battlefield, and saw that the proctor walked onto it. Unlike me and the boy he is going to fight now, that Naruto kid will probably be on guard for this battle. HN, this is going to be interesting. Kage box, the three Kages were waiting for the battle to begin in silence. Anoki was sitting silently, waiting to see what the blonde-haired kid would do. A was also silent, wanting to know just how strong the two boys would do. Minato was speculating what will happen, especially since Kushina was excited since Naruto was in the match. She had gotten attached to the boy, their son, which is unknown to her, and he was worried that the seal was starting to become undone. The reason he thought of this was because she wouldn't stop talking about him the night before and there were cracks appearing on the seal. Now he wouldn't be able to fix it since he had burned the array for the seal after placing it so Kushina wouldn't get suspicious about him. Whatever the case, he'd have to think about it later. Both Naruto and Itachi had entered the battlefield. Naruto and Itachi were walking towards each other, to the center of the battlefield. They were still in similar clothes they wore all the time, Itachi wearing a black high-collared shirt with black shorts, and Naruto had an orange shirt under a black jacket with black pants. This time however, they both had swords on their backs. Dodai watched as the two boys approached until they stood right in front of him and each other. When he was sure that Itachi and Naruto were ready to begin, he spoke into his mic. Ladies and gentle. We gather here today to see a grand fight. A battle between the two strongest genin in their days. Two boys who are younger than most and are able to overcome every opponent they had to stand at this stage. Now here we are here to see the boys battle at the Chunin exam finals. Dodai exclaimed. This led to the crowd to cheer and clap. Naruto and Itachi rolled their eyes at the theatrics. Our two finalists today are Itachi Uchiha and Naruto Uzumaki of Konohagakure. Are you two Reed? Hold up, Naruto interrupted. You got the introduction wrong. Excuse me? He said you have the introduction wrong, Itachi repeated. At this moment, Naruto and I are not battling for Konoha. What, was the shout everyone let out at the same time. In the Kage box, Minato looked shocked at what the boys said. Were they going rogue? Dodai was looking at them and noticed something different about them. Itachi, who had his forehead protector usually on his forehead, only had a black headband there. As for Naruto, he had on a pair of goggles on his forehead, and his forehead protector was also missing. Hell, our family names don't matter in this match, Naruto said. In this fight, nothing else matters. This fight has nothing to do with our village or families, and to be perfectly honest, this fight has nothing to do with the exams. Itachi continued. That caused several people to drop their jaws. All that matters in this fight is to see who is stronger from the two of us, both boys exclaimed. Naruto smirked at Dodai and spoke again. So if you would please repeat our introduction again. Dodai, still shocked at the exclamation the two boys made, slowly nodded his head. The battle between Naruto and Itachi is about to start. Are you two ready? The two boys nodded. Then begin. Naruto sighed before reaching into his pocket and taking out a coin. Heads or tails, Itachi? Tails, Itachi replied. The blonde tossed up the coin high into the air and the two waited for it to hit the ground. As it did, both boys watched it as it began to spin and come to a stop. It landed on tails. Suddenly, Itachi was already in front of Naruto and his fist was about to connect to his face. Naruto ducked and the punch sailed right over his head. The blonde then retaliated with his own punch, which was caught by Itachi. Naruto's lip was then set in a line when he felt himself suddenly assailed by a storm of fire. Genjutsu Kai. Naruto shouted as he released a large amount of chakra to overcome the illusion that Itachi set on him. The flames disappeared but several shuriken were heading his way. Itachi, who was already a couple of meters away, was preparing his next move. Raijin Reikachu, lightning illusion, flash of lightning. Itachi shouted. With Darui, hey! He stole my jutsu. C shouted. He is an Uchiha after all, Darui commented. He'd be able to copy jutsus easily. Battlefield, Naruto shut his eyes due to the extremely bright light but did his own hand seals to do a jutsu. Futon, Haruka's Miyabi, wind release, spring wind elegance. A large dome of wind, not visible to most other people, covered a large area around Naruto. Itachi, with his Sharingan on, was able to see trace amounts of futon chakra in the wind and that the dome fitted the entire battlefield. Naruto's hand reached out and grabbed all the shuriken and opened his eyes after a few seconds. The wind dome disappeared and Naruto threw back the shuriken. Itachi was able to dodge all of them. It was in that instant that Naruto closed the distance between the two and lashed out with a punch. Buraku Sheru! Naruto shouted. Itachi was able to predict the trajectory of the attack and put his arms up to block. That didn't stop the fact that the attack hurt. Itachi was flung back a meter or so. This caused him to frown. It's far stronger than I thought. Even more so than when I had Shisunai try to recreate it, Itachi mused. He stopped his thoughts when Naruto landed right in front of him after a jump. Bamirian Wingu. Itachi slammed his foot into the ground at the same time Naruto did for his technique. He made a half circle with his foot just as Naruto did as well. When he did that, he didn't lose his balance at all. This made the blonde smile. Oh my, it seems as if you found something interesting, didn't you? You saw through the four stances, huh? Hn, if you say so, he replied back. This caused the blonde to smile even more. Hawato Dansu. The blonde then began his melee assault against Itachi. I'm not going to back down even if it is a taijutsu fight. Itachi charged forward and started to fight back as well. The two were landing attacks on each other. Each time Naruto landed a punch, Itachi did too. When Itachi did a kick, Naruto would retaliate in the same way. So for about a minute the two were just in a complicated melee. They stopped when they kicked each other away. There was already visible damage on the two boys. Itachi had bruises and a cut lip. The same could be said for Naruto, although instead of a cut lip there was some blood coming from his nose. You just had to aim for my nose, didn't you? Your point. It hurt. Naruto blurred out of view for a moment and suddenly reappeared before Itachi, with both of his arms pulled back. It's coming. Itachi thought. Naruto thrusted out his arms, with his palms outward. As he did this, Itachi jumped and spun backwards before reaching his right arm out towards Naruto. Both boys didn't touch each other but shouted their techniques at the same time. Barusutomu / Aoi Erasure, Blue Storm. Yes, both moves are called Blue Storm. After Itachi landed, he jumped back just in case if Naruto was about to attack again. A few seconds ticked by before both boys fell down to their knees and coughed out blood. Naruto's group, what just happened? Yugao shrieked. Why are they bleeding like that? Are both of them trying to kill each other? I think they are, Jiraiya stated. It seems like they wanted to go all out on each other and this is what is going to happen due to it. Those stupid brats, Tsunade mumbled. Battlefield, he, ha 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 ha. Naruto laughed, even though he was coughing up some blood. You are scary, partner, very scary. How many times has it been? 3? 4 times you've seen that move and yet you've managed to complete a counter so easily. Easily? Itachi questioned. He stood up just as Naruto did and spat out a wad of blood. It wasn't easy. I had to replay all the moves you did over and over in my head, tirelessly trying to find its weakness. It was rather annoying. Naruto started to walk towards Itachi, who was walking backwards. The way I saw your techniques, Buraku Sheru, Bamirian Wingu and Hawedo Dansu, was that they were all different moves, but I was wrong. Those 3 weren't 3 separate moves, they were a sequence of moves. One that leads to the other, all setting up for Borusutomo. You contort the wind around your body using the 3 previous moves and blow it all towards your opponent during the palm thrust. Like I said, pretty scary. I have to say though, that move you did was interesting. You jumped up and spun in the air to redirect the wind I shot out back towards me. Although, from the looks of things, you can't redirect everything. Naruto laughed again. Although I'm surprised your jutsu didn't affect me that much. Is it still incomplete? Itachi spat out blood before taking a deep breath. Katan, Gokakyu no Jutsu, Fire Release, Great Fireball Jutsu. Itachi shot out a large ball of flames towards Naruto. Raitun, John, Lightning Release, False Darkness. Naruto put his arm out and a blast of lightning was shot out of his palm. The 2 techniques collided and exploded in the space between the 2 boys. Naruto ran into the smoke and threw several kunais through. Itachi dodged them as they came out of the smoke and blocked the fist that was coming towards his stomach. The black-haired boy then disappeared into a flock of crows, leaving the other boy rolling his eyes. Genjutsu Kai. When the illusion fell, Naruto saw Itachi near the pond once again. Suetun, Mizurappa, Water Release, Water Trumpet. Itachi shot out a stream of water towards Naruto. The blonde was already in the process of counter-attacking. Futon, Shinku Taijioku, Wind Release, Vacuum Great Sphere. Taking a deep breath, Naruto compressed the air into a great ball and shot it out of his mouth. Again the 2 moves clashed and cancelled each other out. Both boys were panting, using multiple elemental jutsus one right after the other and after taking a serious injury. Kage Box, your boys are rather good, Hokage-sama, Anoki complimented. At their young age, they are able to utilize those moves. Rather scary considering that we are in an era of peace. Boys wielding that much strength will be a problem later. It is not like I'm the ones teaching them that. I cannot really control those boys when they do their own thing, Minato casually replied. Whatever you say, those 2 boys are strong, complimented. All of the Kage's bodyguards nodded their heads at the compliment. Battlefield, Itachi was going through another set of hand seals as Naruto charged again. I wonder what he is doing? Naruto asked. Silently he turned on Haruka's Miyabi just to be ready for anything. Doton, Doriyuso, Earth Release, Earth Flow Spear. Itachi shouted as he slammed both fists into the earth. That made Naruto's eyes widen. He stopped himself a split second before an earthen spike shot out of the ground. He was forced to jump into the air as another spike was sent his way. He was surprised when Itachi shouted another technique. Doton, Doriyahiki, Earth Release, Earth-Style Wall. A large stone wall appeared had erupted behind Naruto, interrupting his jump, but Itachi wasn't done yet. Katan, Housenka no Jutsu, Fire Release, Phoenix Sage Fire Jutsu. Several fireballs were no-headed towards Naruto midair. Shit, the blonde thought as both the earth spike and the fire came near him. No choice. Have to use those jutsus even though they are nowhere near complete. As the attacks came closer, Naruto did 3 hand seals. Ranton, Mateo Tornado, Storm Release, Meteor Tornado. Note this is written in katakana, so it is like when a Japanese native tries to say both of those words. A large amount of electricity flowed around Naruto's left leg and he did a roundhouse kick. The earth spike was broken and the fires were extinguished as he kicked them. The trail his leg traveled had left a small path of light showing that the lightning was there just a couple of seconds ago. As Naruto landed onto the ground, he saw several shocked faces. However, if Itachi was surprised, he didn't show it. With Team Darui, how does he have your Kekii Genkai? Yugito asked as C was speechless as well when he saw the move happen. The boy was silent for the most part. He didn't know either, but the small conversation the two had that morning made sense now. Flashback, Hey Daruzen, Naruto greeted as he sat down with the boy for breakfast. Naruto-san. Shouldn't you be preparing? Darui drawled out. I just need to bathe. Other than that I'm pretty much good. I see. The two were eating in silence for a few seconds before Naruto spoke up again. Hey, by any chance, does everyone in your family have your Kekii Genkai? No. It skips every generation. My father didn't have it, but my grandfather did and now I do too. Really now? The blonde went quiet again, but only for a second. Are there anyone missing from your family or at least like relationships you don't know of? Children from outside the family, so to speak? Darui thought about it. He thought of if he has any family members. Now that I think about it, my grandfather's cousin went missing during the Second Ninja War. Okay. Lastly, do you think you can explain to me like 2 Ranton jutsus? Why? Just curious, Naruto replied. Not going to use it against me, are you? Darui asked with a raised eyebrow. No. Unless we're asked to fight specifically each. Alright then. Not sure how this will help you, but I'll explain a few techniques. Flashback end, who knows really? Darui answered Yugito's question with his own. Battlefield, you have a Kekii Genkai? Itachi asked. Nope, Naruto replied curtly. The boy then slammed his fist into the ground and several sealing chains caught Itachi as they burst forth from the soil. I have 2. Suddenly, Itachi was covered by a plume of smoke and was replaced by a log. Naruto felt something moving through the wind of his Harake's Miyabi and ducked. Itachi's wakizashi flew right over his head and Naruto drew his own after getting ready. Good thing he did too, for when he got up he had blocked the attack Itachi did. Why so serious? You're rather serious too, Itachi replied during their deadlock. You just don't show it the right way. Naruto shoved Itachi off and blurred out of sight. Itachi waited for it and dodged to the right. That actually surprised Naruto, who showed it on his face as he jumped away. Naruto narrowed his eyes before frowning. Seems like I'm not the only one who has evolved in the past few hours, huh? Naruto asked as he stood up. Itachi glared at him, his Sharingan ablaze. Just yesterday, you only had 2 tomo each. Now, yours is fully mature. So you noticed that as well. The spinning stopped in his eyes to reveal a red eye with 3 tomo around the pupil. Well, damn. This is going to be annoying now. Naruto blurred again and Itachi turned his head to the right before jumping to the right. He then stabbed behind him, but the sound of metal meeting metal was heard. How are you able to read my movements? Whatever you are doing, it is still incomplete. Still sloppy enough for me to see some hints of Raiton chakra in your movements. I just have to know which way you move. Itachi moved back and went for a slash. Naruto parried the move and punched Itachi in the face. When the blonde went to slash at him in return, Itachi jumped away. "Get over here." Naruto threw his arm out and shot a chain made out of chakra. It clamped down on his opponent's neck, before Naruto pulled hard. Itachi was jerked forward and saw Naruto about to punch him. Twisting himself in midair, Itachi kicked Naruto's head just as Naruto punched Itachi. The hit to the head was enough for Naruto to stop his concentration on his chains and breaking them. The two leapt away from each other after that to catch their breaths. Deidara's group, "These two boys are rather flashy," Deidara muttered. "But they have nothing on your art Diodaranii," Kuratsuchi stated. "Kuratsuchi, be quiet. This is a very interesting match right now," Kitsuchi told his daughter. "I'm very sure Deidara is trying to watch as well." But the girl turned to her Nizan and saw that he was solely focused on the match at hand. She then pouted, and saw that no one was looking at her. Battlefield, Naruto reached into his back pocket and threw a smoke bomb onto the floor. Itachi glanced behind him and noted that he was still near the pond. He then saw a kunai with an explosive tag fly out of the smoke. Knowing he had to move, Itachi leapt to the side but was surprised when he was hit by a beam of light. He landed on the land right next to the water and found himself standing straight up. His hands were still free but he was bound by something. "Rantun, Tenmu, Storm Release, Heaven's Net," Naruto stated as the smoke cleared. "Again, like all my other Rantun techniques, it is still incomplete. Doton, Shinju Zanshu no Jutsu, Earth Release, Double Suicide Decapitation," Itachi shouted. From underneath Naruto a pair of hands shot out and tried to grab him. Naruto jumped back when the hands appeared, but frowned. He never saw Itachi make a clone at all. His eyes then widened at the realization. "Genjutsu Kai!" Naruto shouted. He saw that the ground had no holes whatsoever. When he landed, he saw Itachi was flashing so fast through several hand seals. Damn! Naruto knew he wouldn't have to move across the field, even with Raitun no Yoroi, lightning release armor, not by the time Itachi would finish his jutsu. Naruto held his wakizashi in his right arm and then grabbed the blade with his left. Blue chakra started to surround Naruto's entire body as he did this. "Naruto's group, I told him not to use that move," Kushina shouted. This caught the eye of everyone around her. "What do you mean, Kushina-sama?" Shizun asked. "No matter how many times we practiced that move, Naruto never got it down. He'd put too much chakra into the second part of the attack and it would blow up in his face," Kushina explained. "He'll hurt himself more than he will Itachi." The red-haired woman saw that Naruto kept gathering more and more chakra into his body and the blade as he focused his attack. "Wait. Why is he overloading this part now? What is Naruto-kun doing? Battlefield, that's enough chakra," Naruto mentally shouted. "Suetun, Suryuden no Jutsu, Water Release, Water Dragon Bullet," Itachi shouted. A large water dragon appeared from the pond behind him and hovered in the air before speeding towards Naruto. Kudai no Ryu, Senten Suki, Emperor's Style, Whirling Thrust. Now something weird happened with Naruto. The large amount of chakra exploded from Naruto and two blue wings made out of chakra appeared around him. "Naruto's group, what the?" Yugao mumbled, surprised to see the wings. "Did this happen back then too?" Shizun asked, mesmerized by the move. She and every spectator watched as the wings shattered like glass and several feathers floated before pointing themselves towards Itachi. "No, it didn't. But, this is the first time I've seen something like this happen, Kushina explained. She knew the nature of the technique and knew those feathers were not feathers but wind blades. When the blonde thrust his blade, the wind blades flew and collided with the oncoming water dragon. Surprisingly, the attack didn't explode. What happened was the blades were whirling rapidly, clashing with the dragon. Kushina turned to Naruto, who put away his sword and charged more chakra. A blue aura covered the dragon and a similar one happened to his leg. Naruto then dashed forward and jumped. The air blades began spinning faster, and suddenly Naruto disappeared. The blade sliced through the dragon and appeared in front of Itachi. Naruto suddenly reappeared right in front of him with several blades still around him. Itachi created a clone in front of him, and when Naruto smashed it, the clone exploded. Both Naruto and Itachi were thrown out of the smoke, both looked burnt, bloody and were unconscious. Everyone watched as Dodai ran up to the boy and checked them out. "Get a stretcher here. Both boys are in need of assistance," the proctor shouted. There was a large gasp and suddenly stretchers were being brought in. Tsunade stood up and ran towards the infirmary, with Shizune on her heels and Jiraiya after them. Kushina looked on still in shock. Seeing Naruto like that made her feel shocked in such a way that she couldn't explain. She was worried beyond belief for the boy. The boy she only spent about a month with. She couldn't explain why, but something in her was telling her that she needed to be at his side. She looked to the side and saw Yugao pointing towards the halls, and Kushina stood up following her. She also noted that Mikoto, Fugaku, Shisui and Sasuke were all hurrying to the infirmary too. "Tsunade and everyone else, get out of my way!" Tsunade bellowed as she plowed through several of the medical ninjas of Kyuubi. She went to the bedside and saw just how badly injured Naruto was. Itachi was in the same condition. "Shizune, start helping out Itachi over there. Have other medical ninjas help you." Shizune nodded and went to work. Tsunade then turned to the Kyuubi ninjas. "You get me supplies. I need blood packs for both boys, painkillers, and I'll ask for more things if things are needed." She then turned to another guard. "Make sure no one comes through those doors, we do not want anyone bothering us." "Why the hell should we listen to you?" a ninja asked. "Because she is a Sannin and needs help," a commanded as he entered the room. "My people are at your command, Tsunade. Thank you." With Naruto, as this was all happening, Naruto was swimming in and out of unconsciousness. He saw Tsunade standing over him and people working away on something. Shouts could be heard. "Kami, she's being bossy again," Naruto blearily thought. The 7-year-old was blinking. She heard her shouting something. What is she saying? "Nro. Naro. Naruto. Naruto. Time skip, Naruto." A pair of blue eyes snapped open and the owner of those eyes shouted, "Gah!" The person sat up from their bed. It was none other than Naruto, save he looked older. His hair reached down to his chin now and he had lost most of his baby fat on his face, making it more angular. He was shirtless and showed off his growing six-pack and the muscles on his arms. He turned his head towards the source of the thing that woke him up, a slap to the cheek, and frowned. Tsunade was standing above him with a smirk on her face. "Why'd you slap me?" Naruto demanded. "You have a mission to go to. An ANBU captain should be punctual for their meetings. Co-captain, Obaken, co-captain. Itachi will be there before I will be." Naruto stood up and revealed that he was only in boxers. "Besides, I'm 13, I get to be late sometimes." "Whatever, brat, just be sure to say goodbye to Shizune before you leave. You know how much she worries about you." "She worries about me like she was my wife or something," Naruto mumbled under his breath. As he stood up, he grabbed his uniform from a closet and walked to the bathroom. The blonde stopped in front of mirror to look himself over. Over the past 5 years, the boy now stood around 5 feet 5 inches, was slightly more tan than he was and was more muscular. Other than that, nothing much had changed. Although there was something new on his body. There, on his left breast, was a scar. A scar that was given to him during his Battle with Itachi, all those years ago at the Chunin exams. When Naruto looked at it, he always thought it looked like the right wing of a bird. Giving an amused scoff, Naruto walked into the bathroom and got ready. The blonde stepped out of the bathroom fully dressed in his ANBU gear. He had on a black skin-tight sleeveless shirt and black ninja pants. Over it was a soft gray armor. On his hands were black gloves that went past his elbows and guards over them. He also had black ninja sandals on his feet. Attached to his waist was a white porcelain mask in the shape of a lion's face. Strapped across his back was a katana and tied around his forehead was his forehead protector. Naruto, grabbing a scroll from the top of his drawer, closed the door to his room. He then walked downstairs to the first floor into the kitchen where he met up with Shizune. She too had grown over the years, now a woman of 23. She had on a bluish-black kimono held around by a white obi. Open-toed sandals with heels were on her feet. The woman was busily humming a tune as she made breakfast. He smiled at her back before heading towards the back door. "I'm heading out, Shizunini." "Aren't you going to eat breakfast first?" the woman shouted. "I'll get some on the way to HQ." She watched as the boy disappeared using a lightning shunshin. "That boy is energetic as ever." Shizune then frowned. "I wish he'd find more time to spend breakfast with me though." "Then just tell him you love him." Tsunade shouted from upstairs. Shizune was suddenly blushing up a storm. Tsunadesima. With Naruto, Naruto appeared in front of ANBU headquarters. The blonde wasn't surprised to see someone standing against the doorway. It was none other than Itachi. He, just like Naruto, barely changed physically over the course of 5 years. He too grew in height, being the same as Naruto. His hair was now put into a small ponytail. Itachi was dressed in the exact same way as Naruto, but had a porcelain mask of a weasel instead of a lion. Itachi opened one eye and raised an eyebrow at his partner. "What took so long?" he asked as he pushed off the wall. "A dream," Naruto replied with a sigh. "Dreaming about your girlfriend again?" Itachi teased. "Yuki-eken is not my girlfriend. I swear I visit her once a month and people think she's my girlfriend. I never said she was." Naruto face palmed as Itachi smirked. "But really, what were you dreaming of?" "Our battle, 5 years ago. The one that scarred both me and you." Itachi nodded his head. "Let's go inside and get a mission. Our squad will get mad if we don't get them something exciting." Itachi opened the door and walked inside. "Besides, there is nothing wrong with dreaming of the battle you lost." "Oh hell no. You were the one who lost that match. As I recall, the proctor called the match for me." The two kept arguing well into the headquarters, thus starting another day of their lives. In the dead of night, a bald man was running through a forest, panting heavily as he did. He was wearing what seemed to be a Konoha Jounin uniform. He had his forehead protector around his neck, but there was a long gash through the symbol. As he was running through the forest, the man kept turning his head behind him trying to see if his pursuers were right behind him. The man stopped behind a tree to rest and catch his breath. He knew he didn't have a lot of time. His pursuer wouldn't give him time to rest. Looking past the trunk of the tree, he didn't see anyone there. "Thank goodness," the man mumbled. Just as he said that, several chains made out of chakra blasted out from the ground and tied him to the tree. His arms were pinned to his sides so he wouldn't be able to do any jutsu, and the man was struggling to get free. "Kanu Yanmaru," a voice sighed. Walking out from the shadows was Naruto, with his lion mask on, shaking his head at the bastard he caught. "Under the request of the fire daimyo, you are under arrest." "What for?" Kanu demanded. "What for?" Naruto repeated in a mocking tone. "Well, let's see. You defected from Konoha. You went to the daimyo's palace, killed a few guards, attempted to rape his daughter, and then when you failed that you attempted to kill her. Naruto sighed. If the samurai didn't arrive, you probably would have had your balls cut off by that girl. I swear after that, when I went to get the mission, she tried to freaking throw a kunai at my crotch. The blonde shook his head. To be honest, Yanmaru-san, you're going to go to jail for a long time. Naruto saw the man was still struggling. Don't bother, you wouldn't be able to escape anyway, those seal-off chakra. Walking up to the guy, Naruto slammed his fist against the man's temple, knocking him out cold. Afterwards, he dispelled his chains only to remake them again a moment later so he wouldn't be stuck on the tree. The blonde then started his long trek back to Konoha, dragging the man along with him. Hours later, thanks Naruto, Captain. You had caught this man rather fast, don't you think? The man at the reception desk asked when Naruto brought in the rogue ninja. He had black hair and was wearing a Jounin's uniform. The blonde 13-year-old scratched the back of his head and laughed sheepishly. I had a lot of free time. Besides, my squad is on their vacation due to Itachi's orders. I decided to take an easy mission just to make some pocket money, Naruto explained. Now that you mention it, where is Itachi anyway? Naruto waved his hand dismissively as he turned around to go home. He went on a boar hunting mission with his little brother, giving Sasuke some experience. Naruto stretched his arms and then cracked his neck. Well, Itachi, I'll see you around. I'm going to head home for a bit. If any big case missions come up, send for my squad. Don't you have to wait for Itachi to agree to it as well? Naruto stopped at the door and nodded his head. Yeah. The blonde then shrugged his shoulders and used a Raiton Shunshin to disappear from the building. Itachi then shook his head. Those two, I swear, they are going to be put in the history book someday. I just hope they don't kill themselves to get there. With Naruto, after returning to his home, the one he still shared with Tsunade and Shizune, Naruto changed out of his uniform and took a quick bath. Dressing up in an orange t-shirt, black shorts and a white vest, as well as tying his forehead protector around his bicep, the blonde went off to go look around for the day. Wonder what I should do today, he asked himself. It was only a little past noon since he took up the mission at 7 o'clock and used Raiton no Yoroi all the way back. As he stepped out of his room and through the home, he stopped in the living room for a few seconds to survey it. Back then, when he was 7, it was barren of most things and looked rather unwelcoming. Now, after 5 years, it was full of mementos of things he had accomplished over the past few years. All the missions he had went on, pictures of his birthdays, but what he liked most was the centerpiece. Hanging on the far wall over the fireplace were two flak jackets. One was a lighter green than the other and less bulky. Right underneath of each were pictures. Underneath the olive green one was a picture of a bandaged Naruto with a cast, with Itachi in a very similar condition. On the frame it said, "Day we became Chunins." The one under the forest green flak jacket had a 10-year-old Naruto and Itachi eating ramen, wearing their jackets. Naruto had his mouth full of ramen while smiling at the camera, while Itachi was blushing as a brown-haired girl, I am of Ichiraku's ramen, hugged him. On that frame said, "Victory lunch after first successful mission as Jounins." The blonde smiled at his memories. Man, should stop reminiscing like that. I'm not an old man just yet, he said aloud. Closing the door behind him just as he left, Naruto decided to go to the academy first. If I'm not mistaken, it's the test for the genin right now, or at least should be over by now. Naruto then chuckled to himself. Let's see just how my old classmates are doing. With that, Naruto took to the roofs. After some few minutes of roof hopping, he landed in the front gates of the Konoha Ninja Academy. He saw several families congratulating their kids. He saw one in particular he was familiar with. Hana-chan. Suma-sama. Naruto greeted as he walked up to them. The two women looked towards his direction and smiled at him. Hey Gaki, Tsum greeted back. What are you doing here, Naruto? Hana asked. Naruto grabbed his chest in pain. Is that how you greet a friend of yours now, Hana-chan? I'm hurt, Naruto stated with mock hurt. The brown-haired girl rolled her eyes and Naruto stood up straight. When he did, he saw that Hana had what he was looking for, a forehead protector. She was wearing it around her neck like a necklace. Heh, seems like you passed the class at Kohai, junior, underclassman, etc. Don't call me that. Hana spluttered. Do you know how embarrassing it is to have a friend that is the same age as you and so many times higher in rank? Naruto put a finger to his chin before shaking his head. Not really, no. Hana pouted and crossed her arms over her chest. Naruto was laughing due to her reaction, and Tsum was as well. Well, you do have to admit she is right, Gaki, Tsum stated after getting her bearings. You're in ANBU and you're only 13 years old. Not a lot of people could boast that. The very few I know who could are you, Itachi, and your FA, I mean Hokage-sama. Sorry Naruto, it just. It's fine, Naruto waved off the comment as if it were nothing. So are you guys going to celebrate this day? Yeah, but a lot later. My idiot brother is still in class. Hana motioned towards a window where several 7-year-olds were staring at the new genin and their families. I heard there was a fuss today though. A kid was able to get out of class and go on a mission. Oh, that would be Itachi's fault. Both mother and daughter shouted. Itachi asked the council to give him a minor C-rank mission, so that he could give his brother some field experience, Naruto explained. I didn't know you could do that, Tsum muttered. Naruto sniggered and shook his head. Of course you wouldn't know. It's one of the perks of being an ANBU captain. Naruto laughed. Hey, I want to ask, did Kotetsu and Izumo pass too? Yeah, they did. They are going to go eat out right now with their families, Hana told him. And here I wanted to congratulate those guys too. I mean, they would always joke around with me and stuff. Naruto snapped his fingers. Well, I'll leave you guys to enjoy the rest of the day. I'm going to try and find something to do. You can hang out with us for a while if you want to, Gaki, Tsum suggested. Nah, it's a good day to celebrate with family. Naruto then looked far away from them. I think I'll hang out with Gigi for a bit. He then flashed a smile at the two females and walked away from the academy. As he did, he passed by the windows of a few classrooms. People who saw him were whispering amongst themselves. In a classroom, isn't he the shining imprisoner? A boy whispered to another one as they watched Naruto walk by the window. What's the imprisoner doing here? Another boy whispered. Is the dark illusionist here too? Kaya. He's so cool, a girl squealed. I know, right, her friend next to her giggled. I don't get it, a boy sighed. He was sitting far away from the window and was looking at the group of people. He had on a fishnet shirt underneath a gray jacket. His brown hair was wild and untamed, and had two fawn-like markings on his cheeks. I don't get why girls are going goo-goo like that over him. Why are you complaining, Kiba? If he keeps the troublesome people out of our hair, all the power to him. Isn't that right, Chuji? A boy with a pineapple-style haircut yawned from next to him. He was wearing a plain white shirt and gray shorts. Next to him a big-boned boy with brown hair was munching on chips, nodded his head. Shikamaru, you're just being lazy again, Kiba replied with a frown. I mean, really though. He doesn't look all that strong. He doesn't even show how strong he is when he comes to train with my sister. What's so cool about Naruto Uzumaki anyway? It is quite simple as to why he is popular in Izuka, a stoic voice stated from the level above the trio. Looking behind them, they saw a boy with spiked hair and wearing a red t-shirt with a high collar. Covering his eyes was a pair of circular glasses. What are you talking about, Shino Aburame? Why do you think he is popular? Shino adjusted his glasses and said, he is strong. Ha! I don't see why people keep saying that. He's never shown that strength when he comes over to our house. It's because he does not want to hurt your sister. He is an ANBU and she is just a genin. If he were to take her on seriously, she would be injured. Do you think he would want that happening, to a friend no less? Shino questioned. Kiba made a strangled noise at the question and then glared at the boy. Now that you put it that way. Off in the corner another group sat. It consisted of two blonde girls, a brunette and a girl with pink hair. One of the blondes had chin-length platinum blonde hair that had a clip-in. She was wearing an orange shirt and black shorts. Her aqua eyes frowned as she glared at the kids staring at the window. The girl next to her, the one with pink hair with green eyes, had her head on the table and was waiting for the teacher. She had on a red bow in her hair and wore a black shirt and a red skirt. The brunette had pale white eyes, a brown shirt and green shorts. She was fidgeting and wondering why they found the boy so cool. The one sitting farthest from the window was a girl, who looked a lot like Naruto. Her hair went all the way to the small of her back, and her cerulean eyes seemed to be glaring at the spot where the blonde boy just passed. She was dressed in a golden shirt and black shorts. "You're glaring again, Yuri," the girl with pink hair mumbled as she looked at her friend. She then sat up when the blonde girl huffed and crossed her arms. "I can't help it, Sakura," Yuri protested. "That boy has my dad's looks and my mom's maiden name, but he's not part of my family. Plus he comes over every Sunday to learn some fuinjutsu with my mom. I swear I'm not sure what to make of that guy. It's so confusing and infuriating." "Are you sure it's not because he speaks to your sister more than he does to you?" the platinum blonde giggled. Yuri blushed and then pointed at her. "Shut up, Ino. Who cares if he talks to that quiet wallflower instead of me? Apparently you do. You should be happy for Tsubaki though, Yuri," the brunette spoke up as she sat up straight. "You know how antisocial your sister is. The fact that she has a friend is a good thing." "I know, Hinata, I know," Yuri sighed. "Still, it wouldn't help if he pays a little more attention to me. I mean, I'm the daughter of the Hokage too, you know. He should pay some attention to me at least." "Hey, where is your sister anyway?" Ino asked. "She's usually here for class." "Sasuke-kun is missing too," Sakura sighed. With Naruto, as Naruto kept walking, he felt several presences trailing him. Some of which he really did not like. Walking into an alley, Naruto stopped halfway before turning around. He lifted up a lightning-coated arm and blocked a blade coming towards his head. With his other hand he reached out and grabbed the neck of another person to his side. Doing a short spin, he threw them against each other before throwing a large amount of chains, trapping them against the walls of the building. He now looked at his assailants. They wore ANBU uniforms, but something was off. Their masks were blank of any detail save for eye slits and the kanji for root on them. Hearing a cough behind him, Naruto carefully turned around, frowning at the person. "Shimura-san, what do you need with me?" Naruto asked in a polite, yet serious voice, his eyes trained on the form of Danzo standing with two more root ANBU next to him. "No need to be so formal, Naruto-kun," Danzo replied, waving his good hand. "It's a shame we could never get the drop on both you and your partner," the old man sighed as he looked at the root members trapped on the walls. "Will you two even reconsider my proposal? Listen, Shimura-san, I appreciate the help you gave me 5 years ago, but I will not accept. I won't join Root, and the same goes for Itachi. We do not want to end up like them." Naruto motioned to the two stuck to the wall. "I see, that is unfortunate. You would be even stronger if you were to join Root though. Like I need strength." Naruto then turned around to leave the alleyway. As he walked away he spoke, "Don't worry though. As long as I breath, you and I have the same goal. I will further Konoha into the future and make it prosper." The blonde then stopped at the other end of the alleyway where the sun was shining on the path. But unlike you who is hidden in the darkness, I'll be out here shining. After that the 13-year-old put his hands into his pockets and followed the crowd. Listening to what the boy said, Danzo couldn't help but think of Hiruzen. He let out a sigh before looking at his trapped subordinates. Take them off the walls. How do we do that, sir? One of his bodyguards asked. I don't know. Figure it out. Minutes later, damned old man, Naruto scratched his head furiously as he walked down the street. I swear he keeps trying to ask me and Itachi into his program every time he sees either of us. Naruto let out as a frustrated sigh as he kept walking. It's getting rather annoying. He stopped when he noticed he was in front of the Hokage tower. How the hell did I end up here? Ah, good, Naruto-kun, another elderly voice greeted him. As he looked at the door opening and saw Hiruzen Sarutobi, the now 70-something-year-old retired Hokage. Hey Gigi, I was going to see you just now. How's handling the paperwork for all the missions going? Naruto asked with a smirk. The old man let out an amused chuckle. Rather tedious and boring. Hearing all these children complain about drank missions make life quite interesting though. He then looked at Naruto with a small smile. I'm just happy to not being reading about A and S rank missions anymore. You know how messy they can get? Yeah, now that I'm doing some of them I know what you mean. The blonde frowned, remembering all the deaths that he had seen during the past few months was rather disheartening. He really didn't like doing the deed, but when it was necessary he would do it. So why are you out of the office right now, Gigi? Just getting some fresh air, Naruto-kun. You have time to go grab one bowl of ramen? Sorry, but I can't, I'm just getting a breather. I'm rather busy with more paperwork. He then placed a placating hand on the boy's shoulder. I'll make it up to you later, Naruto. I'll hold you to it, Gigi. Naruto then nodded his head towards the old man and he did the same before entering the building once more. Now what should I do? I have free time and I have nothing to do. Just as he said that the blonde's stomach began to growl. He, might as well get some food. The blonde turned heading towards his favorite eatery in all of Konoha, Ichiraku's ramen. Well, even if I can't hang out with Gigi, I'm going to get some ramen for myself. The blonde whistled a tune as he kept on walking and as he was passing by Park, when he halted in his tracks. Looking over to the swing set he found a lonely figure rocking herself back and forth. She was wearing a blue skirt and a white kimono top. She had long flowing red hair that was pulled over her shoulder, and it reached all the way to her waist. In her hair was a blue headband. Her steel-gray eyes were downcast as she swung on the swing by herself. Naruto sighed and shook his head. Why is she here right now? She should be in class, he whispered into himself. Naruto walked over to the swing set and took the one next to her, as silently as he could. The girl shot her head up when she heard the noise. Her eyes were big and wide as they stared at him and he swung himself on the swing set. And then Naruto-kun. She softly stuttered. She then turned her head down again and refused to look at him. Tsubaki, what are you doing here? The blonde asked in an annoyed tone. 3M already ahead of the subject and didn't want to sit through it again, she replied. Are you sure it's not because it was day of doing taijutsu? He got his reply when the girl seemed to shrink into herself. Why don't you ask someone from your family for help on that? I'm sure Kushina-sama would love to help. Even Hokage-sama is more than willing to. 3 don't want to bother them. They are all so busy. Okayasan started doing missions again, Otusan is busy with Hokage work and Yuri doesn't like helping me all that often. He looked towards her again. She stopped talking. Naruto saw the sad girl looking at him with big sad eyes. Even you're busy, Naruto-kun, you don't have time to play with me now. You may talk to me when you visit the house, but all you do now is learn when you're there. You don't offer to teach me how to throw kunais and shuriken, you don't come to ask how my day is and you don't go with walks with me anymore. I'm sorry about that, Tsubaki, I've been busy with missions. He stood up and placed a hand on her head, making the girl look at him again. He bent down on his knees and smiled kindly at her. Hey, I promise to make more time for you. Really? The girl asked hopefully. Really? I'll make more time for my cute little Tsubakiheim, Dadabayo. The girl giggled and Naruto dropped his head a moment after he said that. Gah! It slipped out again. I find it cute, Dadabane. Naruto face-palmed. We ninjas aren't supposed to be cute. We're supposed to be cool. Tsubaki started laughing at the 13-year-old. Yeah, laugh it up. When Naruto heard growling, one that wasn't his stomach, smirked at the little girl. She had a ruby-red face and seemed to have found the ground rather fascinating. You hungry, Tsubakiheim? The girl nodded shyly. Let's go get some ramen then. Naruto held out his hand to the little girl, who took it with a smile. As the two walked down the streets of Konoha, Tsubaki was greeted by most of the villagers. After the whole Kyuubi incident, Minato had declared that his daughters were Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi. He said that they were the only two holding back the beast and that they were heroes. The crowd cheered for them and had readily saw the twins as heroes. Of course, that was the reason that Naruto was disowned from his own family, and not all people were happy, seeing as there were some assassination attempts on them. Naruto looked at the girl again, who seemed happier now that he was doing something with her. Mentally frowned. Why does she seem so lonely? There are several people there for her. I know Okayasan helps her out and is there for her, but I don't understand why she is being so antisocial, he thought to himself. Naruto-kun, we're here, the red-haired girl informed him. The blonde snapped out of his musings and entered the little stand. As he did, he was surprised to see that there was another pair already eating. One of them was Itachi, who was wearing a black high-collared shirt and white shorts. Next to him was a younger boy, looked to be the same age as Tsubaki. He was wearing a similar shirt as Itachi, except it was blue and had the Uchiha fan on the back. He had black shorts that went just past his knee and blue sandals. The boy's hair was styled oddly like a duck's rear end. Itachi, you're back already? Naruto asked, surprised. He took a seat next to his partner and Tsubaki sat on the other side of him. Hey there, Naruto, a middle-aged man with brown hair greeted him. I see you have Tsubaki-sama with you as well. Hello Tukazan, Tsubaki stuttered. Hey Tuchi, how you doing? I'm doing great, the ramen stand owner replied. I had been expecting you earlier. What took so long? Sorry, I was out talking to some people, then ran into Tsubakiheim on the way here. The man nodded. So what will you two have? I'll have 2 large bowls of miso ramen with extra pork cutlets on them. How about you, Tsubaki? I would like a small bowl of salt ramen. She whispered. Small? You usually get a medium, Naruto stated. Are you not hungry? I am, but I don't have my wallet on me. Don't worry about it. I'll pay for you. What type of friend would I be if I didn't pay for you once in a while? Naruto then turned to Tuchi, give her her usual. Got it, 2 large miso ramen and 1 medium salt ramen. It will take about 5 minutes, Tuchi replied. He then turned around and started to cook. By the way, Tukazan, where is Ayam? Oh, she choosing what to wear for her date. Date? Yeah. Itachi there asked her out on a date. You should have seen him stuttering like a fool as he did. Naruto and Tsubaki turned to look at the older Uchiha brother, who was choking on some noodles. The younger one was tapping his back to help him. Sasuke, is it true? Did your brother finally grow a pair and ask out Ayam? Naruto asked with a smirk. Hi Naruto-san, Sasuke replied with a nod of his head. Itachi managed to swallow the food stuck in his throat, gave his brother a light glare, before glaring at Naruto full on. The blonde was laughing and he even saw that Tsubaki was giggling a bit. Sure, laughed Naruto, Itachi mumbled with a roll of his eyes. I can't help it. I mean, you've been wanting to ask her out for half a year now. Took you long enough, man. Naruto congratulated his friend by slapping his back. So how did it go? Itachi stayed quiet, but Naruto saw the faintest of blushes on his cheeks. He looked over to Sasuke, who saw him as a second brother of sorts, but the boy kept his lips sealed. He then turned to Kitsuchi, who barked in laughter. You should have seen the boy, the ramen maker said. He came into the shop and greeted us. He sat down and ordered ramen for his brother and himself. Then he and I started to make small talk. After a couple of minutes I heard this small little exchange. The ramen maker cleared his throat and tried his best impression of Itachi's voice. I like you. Would you go on a date while we with me tonight? He was staring so hard at the table, that I thought he was asking it out. Naruto laughed even harder and Tsubaki giggled alongside him. Itachi sighed in defeat, and noticed that even Sasuke was laughing a bit. The Uchiha was about to reply when he felt a hand on his shoulder. He saw Naruto was smiling at him. Good job, man. You got through your first confession. I would rather go through more life-threatening rank missions than do that again, Itachi admitted as he sipped some soup. Was it that hard when you told Yuki-san that you liked her? Naruto groaned and slammed his head onto the table. Tsubaki looked at him and confused. I'll admit that yes, I told Yuki-san that I liked her. After that we went on a date when I visited her. Naruto stopped talking for a minute to thank Kitsuchi for the ramen. Everyone there, Tsubaki, Itachi, Sasuke and Kitsuchi, were all listening carefully to Naruto as he frowned. But when I confessed to her, it was so embarrassing. I confessed to her at the place where she was auditioned for a movie. When I did, I stuttered like a complete dumbass, very much like you, in front of a whole studio. Not only that, but for some odd reason the director recorded that mess. Itachi laughed at his friend this time, and everyone else followed suit. Naruto frowned and glared a bit at Itachi but continued on talking. So you have it lucky, only 3 people know what happened. I had a large group, and evidence at my embarrassment. You're right, that isn't so bad. Yeah, I feel sorry for you, Naruto-san, Sasuke sniggered at the blonde. Naruto glared a bit at Itachi but stopped when he felt someone tugging at his sleeves. He turned to look at Tsubaki, who was smiling at him. I think it's cute, Naruto-kun, Tsubaki told him. Naruto groaned before ignoring them and eating his ramen, mumbling things about ninjas being cool, not cute. So it was during that time everyone made small talk, with Naruto having to drag Tsubaki into the conversation since she was so quiet. After eating and paying for their food, they said their goodbyes to the ramen chef. As they were about to leave, an ANBU appeared in front of them. Uzumaki Teiko, Yukiha Teiko, good afternoon, the ANBU member greeted them. Uzumaki Teiko, the Hokage wants to see you. I see, Naruto sighed. Tsubaki, can I leave you in the care of Itachi? But Naruto-kun. She then saw his serious face and stopped her protest. Okay. Itachi, take her home for me. The older Uchiha nodded and offered her a hand. Come on, Tsubaki-sama. I'll take you home, Sasuke, let's go, Itachi told the kids. Hi, Onaizen, Sasuke replied. He walked alongside the two and Naruto watched them off for a few seconds, before turning to the ANBU member. I'll head over there myself, Naruto informed the ninja. The ANBU nodded and shined away. Naruto followed suit, using a lightning variant. He then found himself standing in front of the Hokage tower once more. Opening the doors, he walked through the halls and greeted those who noticed him. He soon found himself in front of the double doors of the Hokage's office. Knocking on the door, he waited to be called in. Come in, Minato's voice sounded from the other side of the wall. The blonde opened the door and found the Hokage smiling at him. Hokage-sama, he greeted his ex-father. Minato was silently before motioning with his hands towards the door. 3 hidden ANBU members left the room after that. He watched them all leave before looking at Minato again. "So how are you, Naruto?" the older blonde asked with a smile. Naruto responded with a frown. "Minato team, cut the crap already. You cast me out of your family for Kami knows what reason, so I know you really don't give a damn about me. You obviously don't like me, and I really don't give a rat's fluffy ass about you at the moment. So let's skip all this bullshit and get to the point. Why did you call me?" Minato dropped his smile and stared at the boy with a frown. "Blunt as ever, Naruto," he sighed. "I really am trying to reconnect to you." "Are you?" Naruto asked as he leaned against the far wall. "Or are you doing this due to the fact that your wife and daughters speak to me frequently? Add the fact that they see me as some sort of surrogate son or brother or something of the sort doesn't really help, does it? I know that. That is why I'm asking if you want to still join our family." The younger blonde gave a humorless laugh. "Just like Danzu, you are still giving me the same offer even after 5 years." Naruto pushed off the wall and crossed his arms. "I still refuse. Just like I said all those years ago, I have something I'm aiming for. Now that I have more power, I know I will be able to reach it." Naruto then turned towards the door to leave. "Now, if that is all you needed, Hokage-sama." "No, it isn't. I'm giving you this warning." The Uzumaki heard the threat in the Namikaze's tone. Hell, he could even feel the killing intent behind it. "If you do anything to bring harm on my family, I will kill you. I care for my family." "You have a funny way of showing it then. If you really care about them, I suggest you make time for Tsubaki, curb Yuri's ego and actually show you love Kushina-sama," Naruto suggested, because from the looks of things she seems a bit displeased these past few days. "You do something to piss off the woman you're so in love with recently, team?" He then felt something moving through the air. After using Haruka's Miyabi for such long periods of time, the amounts of chakra needed to maintain and use the move had minimized so much that Naruto could afford to have the technique go out in a 5-meter, about 5 yards, radius in all directions. Then Naruto caught the kunai aimed at his head, while using a Raiton no Yoroi enhanced hand to hold onto a spiraling orb of chakra aimed at him. Dropping the kunai, Naruto held onto Minato's wrist. Cerulean eyes met cerulean as they glared. Throwing away the arm, Naruto sped to the window and glared at the Hokage. "Attacking me now?" "No, it was all reflex. I thought I saw a rather big bug on the wall and decided to kill it," Minato replied with a forced smile. "With a Rasengan?" "It was a big bug." Both blondes glared at each. Naruto knew he couldn't do anything to retaliate to the attack, due to it being an act of treason. Minato knew he couldn't accuse Naruto of anything, there was no evidence of any treason. Naruto was good enough to hide any trace of whatever he did to avoid suspicion. Fitting of an ANBU captain. "If that is all, Hokage-sama, I will be taking my leave." "Very well, Naruto. You are dismissed." Naruto saluted, and jumped out the window. Damn him, he's getting stronger. If this keeps going, that second prophecy may come true. He picked up his kunai, a 3-pronged kunai, and frowned. He knew that he would have been able to hit the boy with his Rasengan, if only his Hiraishin jutsu worked, but for some reason it didn't work. He looked at the blade and scowled. At the seal array for the jutsu was destroyed. He destroyed it the moment he caught it. Smart of him. With Naruto, he's starting to get hostile now, Naruto mentally frowned. Kami, and here I thought that our verbal matches were intense. I didn't know he was going to start resulting in threatening me. Although I should have not provoked him at all in the first place. Naruto-kun, a woman's voice shouted out to him. The blonde looked up and smiled at the person. It was Kushina Namikaze. She was dressed in fully jounin gear. "How are you?" I'm doing well Kushina-sensei, he answered. You went on a mission? Yeah, I wanted to stretch out my legs and get my blood pumping. Naruto nodded his head before sighing. Look, Kushina-sensei, I'm not going to be able to make our Fuinjutsu lesson on Sunday. Oh why? I'm going to go visit somebody that day. That person you keep meeting up with once a month? Yeah. So please take that time and spend it with your family, Naruto smiled at his suggestion. He was doing this for Tsubaki, his little sister that will never know that he is her brother. He was so damn soft when it came to girls like them. Oh, okay, Kushina replied, sounding rather disappointed by his answer, and the blonde caught it well enough. Well, just come by the house if you need anything then. Naruto nodded and waved her off as she too headed towards. Looking up to the sky and noticing that it was already late in the afternoon, Naruto sighed for the umpteenth time that day. As he decided to begin his trek home and to make dinner for his family. Heh, family. Obeiken and Shizune always smile when I call them that. Although recently, I'm starting to think that Shizunini doesn't see me like a little brother anymore. I mean, she keeps hugging me more affectionately, kissing me on the cheek. She also has this lingering gaze that looks at my back, and let's not forget the blush each time smile at her. So lost in his thought, that Naruto wasn't looking was going and he had bumped into someone. Oh, I'm so sorry, he apologized. It is fine young one, Naruto heard a regal voice. Looking at the woman, he was surprised to see an elegant-looking woman. She had black hair done in a nice bun, and she was dressed in a decorative white kimono. Her jade-green eyes blinked at him. You look just like. The woman whispered, so low that Naruto couldn't catch what she was saying. Excuse me, miss. Sorry, just lost in thought. Would you mind helping me go to the Hokage's office? Of course miss, Kaie Mitsunako. Okay Tsunako-san, let's go. The walk to the building was rather lax. Tsunako would ask Naruto a few things about Konoha, and he would reply and explain them to her. As they approached the building, Naruto held the door open for her. They made their way up the stairs and Naruto once again found himself standing in front of those same double doors. Knocking on the door once again, he heard the Kamen open the door. He saw Kushina was in there as well, probably still giving her report. They were looking at him expectantly. Excuse me Hokage-sama, Tsunako has come here to meet with you. The moment he said those words, he noticed that Minato paled visibly. Kushina looked confused. Hello Minato-sama, how are you? Tsunako asked with a calm smile. I am fine, Minato gulped. Who are you? Kushina inquired. Oh, let me introduce myself. I am Tsunako of the Nadeshiko village. I am here to come for your end of the agreement we had all those years ago, Tsunako spoke. I am here to take you back to my village and make you my husband. What, was the similar shout of Naruto and Kushina. By now, Minato was sweating bullets. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to like and subscribe, and don't forget to share this video with your friends. Guys, make sure to help the author by visiting the link in the description. This is Fox Sage, and I'm signing off.